last week premiered, I believe it was last week, the first 4 episodes of Love is Blind Mexico. And today or yesterday premiered the first 4 episodes of Love is Blind UK. Now, we obviously speak English. Y yo hablo español, at an intermediate level, and enough to understand the show. But Brooke watches some of the episodes of Love is Blind Mexico with me. We put on some subtitles in English so she can understand them. And to be honest, when we watched Love is Blind UK, we had to put up some subtitles to understand them because their accents can be kind of strong sometimes.
Well, and sometimes they just say things differently than we would. Like the guy was talking about his schooling, and he said something like CGS. I was in CGS or something, and it's like if I don't see that, I might not compute that like, oh, that's just their schooling thing.
Okay, well, as a loving husband, I do put on the subtitles.
I know you hate the subtitles.
But I actually do have them up in Spanish when I watch Love Is Blind Mexico just to help for that same reason when I'm listening in Spanish, I'm watching in Spanish. So I don't know if we even anticipated this. So much content because Love Is Blind drops tons of episodes.
I think we should say too, if you're interested, they do offer Love Is Blind Mexico with voiceovers in English. But we don't really like the voiceovers. It's a little odd.
Right, and I
so
speak
that's
Spanish.
why that's what I was about to say. Since you speak Spanish, it makes sense why you're watching it. But anyway.
So we are going to, the way we're going to structure it is this. I have watched most of the first 4 episodes, but just yesterday they released 4 more. I didn't have time, believe it or not. I've got a job, a wife, and a kid to watch these 4 episodes in time for this podcast. And or actually that was today that they dropped those episodes. And then so I definitely didn't have time. And the same thing with UK. We've seen the very first episode of UK, so we know a lot of the cast and the characters. And again, we do know a lot of the cast and characters of Love Is Blind Mexico. So we're going to give you our insight to what we've seen. We might post updates on our social media just in between the episodes, just our quick thoughts on the episodes as we watch them to kind of stay up to date. But as for the podcast, we're just going to talk about what we've watched so far and try to hopefully be on pace for when the finale comes. We can kind of have a podcast ready to go. We might have a special timing podcast for those. So this is just, I think we start off with Mexico. I've been studying Spanish, whatever. So I wanted to, I was always excited to have I've been waiting for Netflix to do some of these big shows in Spanish language, so I could practice, and watch TV in Spanish, the TV that I like to watch. It's called Telerealidad in español. And so I'm like, I want reality TV in Spanish so I can really, really get it. And then Love Is Blind is a show we love, and so we started watching Love Is Blind. Brooke hasn't seen all the episodes, but
and I didn't write the names down, so I'm just right.
And so here's what we're gonna do: if you're not watching Love Is Blind Mexico, it's like any other Love Is Blind. It's Mexican, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's in Spanish. But if you speak Spanish and you listen to our podcast, I highly suggest it. I'm just gonna rattle off the characters in couples to me that jumped off. If you have comments as well,
okay,
feel free.
I might have to ask questions.
Got you.
Okay.
Hands down, my favorite character, and she's not perfect, Irais. Irais started off liking Fernando, and, she thought Fernando was the guy for her. Fernando, however, migrated to Karen. And he returned down Irais, but she went all out. And then Irais jumped to Renee, the doctor, and he's not perfect for her, but of course she's engaged to him anyway. The reason I like Irais, I've seen her smile maybe only a couple times. I don't know how much she's in the show, so I have to watch these new episodes because at the end of it, she didn't even like Renee's look. She pressured him on being on his alcohol. This was another alcohol. He said he liked drinking. She doesn't want people who have a tendency to drink alcohol. She has a loving relationship with her brother with special needs.
What did she say too? He said he likes to spend money. He spends all his money. He doesn't
all
save.
His money. He doesn't save. She likes to be organized and plan ahead. And when she saw him, she was just like, "Oh, it doesn't even sound like what I remembered with Renee." And he doesn't. He looks like a bad guy who would send you to therapy. No, a bad boy, as in like, bad boy tendencies or whatever. And she doesn't want to pay for therapy anymore. So, or she doesn't want a guy that'll make her have to go to therapy. Okay, and I don't know what it is about this personality of this strong-willed. No, I like Fernando, so I'm going to pursue him, even though Karen has told me, like, Fernando told me he was basically in love. She's like, I don't care. So Irais is one of my top contenders. And I'll just go through the line. You've got Fernando and Karen. Now, Karen, as an amazing, it's tragic for her. Her backstory being she was with a guy that found out he was a homosexual, or he's gay.
Was that the father of her son? I mean, her daughter. Doesn't she have a daughter?
Yeah, but she didn't specify that.
Okay.
So, that's crazy. She seems very sex open, sex positive, almost more so than Fernando. And then, in addition to that, she seems kind of chill. Like her demeanor is very laid back. Fernanda, and she's very she's like very classically attractive. She's got a very, very well built body. That I think most guys, the average guy. Anyway, she's beautiful. She's very good looking. She's very sex positive, almost to the point of intimidation. I think that's why ultimately her and Saul did not work out, because she was talking about specifics of the sex life when it came to like threesomes and stuff like that.
Okay, this is a PG podcast,
which is why I'm, but I have to explain the things. Long story short, Saul was like, no.
Yeah.
Fernando was like, no, but maybe. But he's already jealous of Saul and their in Tulum, where they go after the pods. Oh, if you don't know what Love is Blind is a show where people fall in love before they see someone. They spend 10 days talking to them through a wall. Then they get married if they choose to that person. Then they engaged. Then they see the person. Then they live with each other for 3 months or a month, and then they get engaged. They get married.
They get married.
Or they say no at the altar. Okay, so they're in that period, or in like a honeymoon period, and Fernando and them or whatever, they have good chemistry. But to me, she almost seems a little Karen. She seems a little like, it is what it is. He's like, this is great, but I don't want her to talk to any guys. So there's gonna be there's gonna be stuff there. I know it. Others I like Gerrardo and Fernanda are interesting. Gerrardo said he had an equal, like at one point, relationship with Mafer and Fernanda. Mafer was the more hippie, artistic one, and Fernanda was the more like, established, deep, personal love one. I don't know. That's how he described it. He said it was just like a crush with Mafer. But I think I think that's going to come back around. And then also, they do seem to have a genuine connection. That they like each other. They both like how each other looks. When it was revealed, they are a little hippie for my taste. Some of the stuff they say is pretty cringe.
Is that the couple I didn't see at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's super tall. She's kind of short. They were talking about vibes.
He's a musician, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that for me is an instant cringe. You start making songs, I'm out. Another thing that's happened on both UK and the Mexican or Love is Blind Mexico is it seems like right before they decide who they're going to get engaged to, they have to give each other gifts. So on Love is Blind Mexico, it kept happening where the guys would try to break up with a girl, and the girl were giving them a gift. And so they would go in there, on yo quiero decirte algo, quiero they come in there with plans to leave and break up. And then the girl's like, I just gave you a personal charm for my family that means the world to me. And I wrote a song for you and your daughters because half the people in Love Is Blind Mexico have children from previous relationships.
Yeah.
Or it's like I'm writing and it's just like every single time the guys are like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna break up with her now. And it was just so funny. Like they curse all the time in Love Is Blind Mexico. They curse all the time. And so when one of the guys came back, when Chema, like I learned this word fresona, he's muy fresona, came back and was like, oh, Ale Caleti, she gave me this. Right when I was about to break up with her, you just hear the back guy in the background screaming, "Madre mia!" You know what I mean? Just like can't believe it. It was, I don't know. I thought that was very funny. So which brings me to Chema, and wow, it's the first couple I can't meet.
Chema is a silver fox.
Yeah, he's also very short. He's probably just your height. But he seems, I cannot remember his connection's name, but they seem to be going well.
She was the plus size model.
No, curvy model.
Oh, sorry, curvy.
Yep. But they both love pranks, making each other laugh. They both were very confident, and Chema had a really weird love triangle, in that Ale, his other connection, the opera singer, he rejected her, and she was like, "You'll be back. I know. Like, go have your fun with what's the other girl's name? The other girl, but I know we'll meet back with each other outside of this experiment." And he wasn't like, "No, don't do that. I'm getting engaged." He was like, "Oh wow, you're great. Thanks for understanding." And I'm like, But I don't know. Maybe his wife his girlfriend would be cool with that. And seeing how chill they are with everything else. Man, and that's another thing. Love Is Blind had so many couples that made it out of the pods. They call them the cabinets or the booths in Spanish.
Oh.
The cabinet. I forgot the word, but it's cabinet or booth. And so, anyways, so many of them. So we've got Saul and dang, what are their names? I should have pulled up their names. Saul and his partner. We've got Fernando and Karen. So that's two couples. We've got Chema and his partner. I can't remember. We've got Gerrardo and his partner. We're up to 4. We've got these other two. I've forgotten either of their names because they were literally on the last episode. So that's at least 5. And I honestly feel like I'm forgetting one.
Wow.
But that's, and Irais and Renee, they didn't make it out of the pods, but I do think their storyline is going to continue because it just ended so abruptly. I'm like, that can't be the end. So we've got 5 to 6 connections when we're used to getting 2 to 3, unfortunately, in the American version. So I'm excited to see where the rest of Love Is Blind Mexico goes. And it's helping me to practice listening to Spanish. And I think I'm going to post some TikToks of sharing more opinions en español sobre la serie y qué estás pasando con las parejas. But it's just we're having an influx of Love Is Blind right now. The set is different, but it's the same show. The cultures are different. The stereotypes are different. Like the typecast that people get cast are different. But I'm enjoying it. It's something I am going to continue to watch, and I hope this is the first of many seasons. Speaking of the first season, it's also the first season of Love Is Blind UK. We literally just watched the first episode. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Love Is Blind UK?
I mean, it seems pretty standard.
Yeah.
Like the US. Like there's not much of a difference. It was same vibes, same, really.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say my standout right now is Freddie. I really like Freddie, the funeral director.
Okay.
Of the girls, I like Demi.
Demi's very cool.
I like Demi. Those are probably my standouts.
Yeah, I think
I'm afraid Demi's gonna get her heart broken by Ollie.
Oh, 100%. We saw in the previews that looks like that's happening 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be real, so So, like I said, some of the cultural differences in Mexico and this other one, it made it hard for me, like I said, to see. Like, I didn't know what it meant to be persona and some of the things that people were saying about other people, like what they meant personality wise or just how reality shows work casting wise. That's why it feels a little new. I do feel like Love is Blind UK, I can kind of see the roles these people play.
Yeah.
Catherine is the like, and maybe this is, maybe it's the same thing in Love is Blind Mexico, but she's like the, flirty, sexual attention,
Mm-hmm.
fit body, you know what I mean? Looking, even though they can't see anything, but it's more likely to go with someone who's a little more of an F boy than not. Then you've got your, kind of reserved but sweet in Sabrina, the one who's what's her guy's name?
Steve or
Yeah,
Steven.
you're right. But and so you got that, and then you got Demi, who's um, she said it herself. She ends up getting friend zoned a lot, but because of that, she vibes really well with the guys.
Yeah,
and so I'm seeing a lot of that, and so I think my favorites are probably I like Demi as well, even though I do also agree that it looks like she's heading towards heartbreak. There is Catherine. Just kind of seems kind of ditzy, and that could just be the accent that makes it sound like that to me. But I don't know if any connection she has is going to last long on this show.
Yeah,
I don't know how she's here for. If she's here for the right reasons, I'll tell you who my least favorite is right now, and that's what's the nose jobs guy?
Oh, Sam from London.
Sam's from London. Yeah, remember me? I'm Sam from London.
From London.
I want you to remember me. He just seems kind of desperate. I don't know if he's here for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, he kept being like, I don't know why nobody wants to date me. Like, he literally was saying that.
And he's like, I feel like when people like, all right, when they look at my profile page, they probably just look like a guy who's looking for a one night stand.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my god. This
girl's like,
dude.
Wait, what? Why? You're doing something to make them think that.
Exactly. So,
sorry.
yeah, and so he's like, it's just one of the many things that kind of irked me about him. He also said nice guys finish last, and that's a huge red flag. And it just was a bunch of like, where sometimes we would accuse Grant of saying all the right things that almost felt cliche on Bachelorette. I felt like he was saying all the wrong things.
Yeah, but it appears that he makes a match. Right. So we'll see how that goes.
And then you've got, I do like Nicole and Benaya less, but Nicole, I like her kind of exuberant personality. But what she sees in Benaya, who's like, he literally said, I'm homeless. She was like, oh, you're homeless. But this was a little different. In Love is Blind Mexico, they showed like 3 couples. And they spent the majority of the time with just one, and they got all the way to the engagement with that one.
Yeah, the production is a little different.
Right. We saw 17 people.
Yeah.
And it all seemed like they could have potential to be major characters. It
almost felt like they were like profiling everyone.
Everyone. We saw Well, I'm sure I'm forgotten their names, but we saw so many people. But it'll be interesting. They definitely are different. See, American love dating shows is because just the way America is. You're going to get your Southern Belle sweethearts that are just looking for a man that they can, jump on the big green tractor with. And then you've got your, New Yorkers, and you've got your Californians.
True, that's true.
You got your Midwest.
Well, yeah, because like on the UK, they kept saying, "Oh, a Manchester boy," "Oh, London," and it's like we don't know what that means.
Another thing about these shows, Love is Blind Mexico, seemed to be filmed. I actually don't know this to be true, but they had a lot of people from CDMX from Mexico City. But they had it kind of from all over. They were like, "Where are you from?" "I'm from all the way over here." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing with UK. Now, UK is smaller than, or in total, it's about the similar size of Texas or whatever, right? and including Ireland because it's UK, not just Britain and England, right? But they were saying stuff. I'm from Manchester. I'm from London, which I know is London, right? Adjacent. We had Irish people on the show. We had people from all over Great Britain on the show, which as opposed to the American version, they go to Seattle.
Yeah.
And at best, you live in Portland.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go to Dallas. And they went to Houston, which unfortunately was such a letdown. You know what I mean? It's one city. So the living together thing is kind of expected. Or we're not going to have to worry about long distance. I wonder how that's going to be different here and how that's going to affect some of these relationships.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they're like, are you looking to live in Belfast?
Well, she did. Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm getting out of here. I'm trying to move to London.
Yeah.
We saw where they said they were going. Corfu. Yeah, so we don't know where that is. You know, we're not well traveled.
Sorry.
We will probably just lost a podcast listener. Like they don't know where Corfu is. But it's just the first episode, so that's all we got. We kind of saw the beginning of the second episode where Sabrina and Steven do get engaged, but we have yet to see the reveal. We don't know how they react to seeing each other.
Oh yeah, we haven't.
The one other person I want to talk about Love is Blind UK before we move on is Ollie. Unfortunately, Ollie seems like a good guy, but we see previews of him being like, I'm done. I should never come on this show. This show is just wasn't the right thing for me. And then he has a choice between Catherine, who he likes, and he's like, she's very flirtatious. And then we've also got a choice. He has a choice between Demi, who he has better vibes with, which I think is a recipe for he picks Demi, gets out, still has chemistry with Catherine, hurts Demi, leaves.
Yeah.
You want the best for these people. But the best one might not be their couples. Another thing that's we are just so Netflix pilled when it comes to reality TV. Because all of these shows, no matter the country or language, if they can speak English, has potential to be on Perfect Match or the other Netflix reality shows. Because Netflix is kind of building a reality TV empire.
Yeah.
They're kind of showing people that they have what it takes.
Yeah.
To just build a whole universe that people get involved in, and we're stuck.
Yeah.
Anything else about Love is Blind UK?
I think that's it for now.
You know, the only thing about me I'm going to watch the Spanish version no matter what. The UK is in English, and so I'm going to feel compelled to watch. Our classic one is the classic one. I kind of don't want to get burnt out.
Same.
Sometimes with Bachelor, where it would line up to where we would have Paradise, Bachelor, Bachelorette,
True.
Gold, and it would just be like,
true.
Mondays would almost come and be like, can we get a break? You know what I mean?
True.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
So what Love is Blind is so popular. I don't want Netflix to just put Love is Blind UK, Love is Blind Mexico, Love is Blind Brazil, Love is Blind France, Love is Blind. You know what I'm saying? Like let's slow the pace down a little bit. But whether they do or not, we'll podcast about it.